there's type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Is that, that's not a great example, I guess, but I'm trying to think of another one. Anyways, did that answer that? Does that make sense?
No, not really.
Not so much? Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Let me try to help out a little better. So dementia is when we say dementia, we talk about there's certain symptoms that somebody would have with dementia, okay? And if you have Alzheimer's disease, you might have all those symptoms. If you have vascular disease, you might have all those symptoms too. So no matter what's causing it, dementia is a certain cluster of symptoms. It just means the person has these symptoms, okay? And then you got to figure out what's causing it. And if you can figure out what kind, that's basically what I mean by that, is what type of dementia is it? Have they had lots of strokes? That might be vascular dementia. Have they had, do they have a lot of Parkinson's type symptoms with it? It might be Lewy body dementia, okay? Or has it been a slow, kind of a gradual thing that's gone on over a couple of years? They've slowly lost short-term memory, and then it's gotten a little worse, and the personalities changed, and so on. That would maybe be more like an Alzheimer's dementia, okay? So Alzheimer's, maybe the one thing would help is if you called it Alzheimer's dementia, or vascular dementia, or Lewy body dementia. There's all these different kinds of dementia. Dementia is just symptoms, and the type is the actual name, like Alzheimer's. Okay, that's about the best I can do. We can talk afterwards. I can try to do a little better, but that's a tough one. A lot of folks, that's a very common one for folks to ask. I think that's a confusing one for people. Any other questions? Hey, thanks for coming in. You guys have been great. Hardly anybody fell asleep. That's great. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next month, maybe. Okay, so there were a couple of kind of important points that I forgot to mention in this talk tonight on psychosis and psychotic disorders. I guess the first of which is that you have to be aware that the more time somebody has a psychotic break, the more psychotic breaks they have, I should say, in the course of their illness, the worse the illness is. So the worse these episodes are, the longer they last, the harder they are to treat. They don't respond as well to medication, and it seems like there may be something going on in the brain that's getting worse. Maybe some kind of process that's actually damaging the brain in some way. So the concern is that you've got to jump on the treatment of these illnesses and get them under control and into remission as quickly as you possibly can. Avoid stress, negatively expressed emotion, like I mentioned with the question earlier. And in addition, you also need to be, besides staying on the medicine and besides, trying to keep this in remission, another thing you can do is make sure that the person, if you have a family member that has a psychotic illness, such as one of these that we discussed tonight, make sure that they try to make sure, if you can, that they do not imbibe in illicit drugs, alcohol, things like that. All of these things can affect the brain and make it more likely that the person will have a relapse into another psychotic episode. And of course, like I just mentioned, if the more that they have, the worse this illness becomes. I've had cases where folks, they thought, well, drinking is not going to hurt me, or smoking some pot is not going to hurt me, and unfortunately, these folks' illnesses would continue to get worse despite my best efforts at treatment. So I guess I thought those points were important enough to bring out that I wanted to add those tonight. So that's the end of the talk for tonight, and I guess I'll see everyone next month when we discuss substance abuse. Thank you very much.